I guess this is the first episode of, I don't have a name for the show yet. I'm kind of thinking ToyTubers, as corny as that sounds, but it's kind of accurate. It's a show about, just like being a toy review and just, I think I'll do some episodes about with streamers and just toy channels in general, but the ins and out of running a YouTube channel. And very first guest, gracious enough to join us today is Jared A.K.A. ToyBro, who runs the ToyBro YouTube channel. Welcome, man.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good. So I have a series of questions and we'll see like kind of where the conversation goes. This may end up going in a completely different direction from what I intend. We may not get through everything because we're probably going to run this for less than an hour and try to edit it down to like about a half-hour episode. But yeah, so I guess first and foremost, how did you get into doing toy reviews and just running a YouTube channel?
It sort of happened kind of at really like the wrong time, honestly. We just had our daughter and I was home a lot more than usual. And I found myself wanting to do something with, what more free time there was in between having to, raise a baby. And I think a lot of it also comes from the fact that I used to talk to my wife a lot about this stuff. And I mean, she suggested I start doing this. So I maintain that she said I needed to do it. So I would stop talking to her about it and go talk at someone else for a change who would actually hear. That's kind of where it all came out.
And how long ago was that, would you say?
6 years ago.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
6 years. Yeah. So you've been doing this
right
a long time.
Now, I think 6 years ago. Yeah. I used to view it as like a really competitive thing when I realized that there were certain ways to like game the numbers by getting things early or being the first person to do something. And I just don't care about that anymore. Like it was, so that's it. I have a very different approach to how I used to do it, where sure, some things I get them, I'm like, yeah, I should do this right away because it's timely and people actually care about it.
Yeah.
But previously it would have been, if I had anything, like it's got to go up like right now. And I was doing like daily videos to try and maintain all that. And I have long since dropped that off. I just can't do that anymore. It was quickly leading to burnout.
Yeah. When you were doing daily videos, did you find that the views were dropping off on a per video basis?
Sort of. There would be some spikes, things that made sense, stuff that maybe I did have a little bit early or stuff that there wasn't a lot of content out there for. But in general, that's what I eventually found is like, once you do so many, they sort of get lost in the algorithm. And unless people are checking your channel or actually have notifications that are working, they're probably not going to get served a lot of those videos. So that was another reason why I was like, yeah, I should stop doing that. If there's not anybody watching this chunk of videos that I just did compared to the ones that sort of bookended them.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like sometimes when I'm on a clip and I'm just publishing a lot, they don't get the views, and I'm assuming my audience is overloaded and they just don't have enough time, right? To just watch the videos.
How much time do you have to devote to me? Probably not that much, I would imagine. I would hope not anyway.
Yeah. I don't even have enough time to devote to me. Never mind my audience. Anything else that's kind of changed, shifted, transformed over the years? What about content wise, like your subject matter of your videos?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely changed. Yeah, it's definitely changed. I mean, a lot of that has come down to having companies that send me stuff now. Mm-hmm. So when that occurs, that can consume an entire block of time.
Yeah.
If Super 7 decides to send me like 10 ultimates, that's like 2 weeks worth of content if I'm pumping one out a day.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing that anymore. Or, it just depends on what I have coming in and that kind of thing. But that aspect of it does kind of shape what I do, because I feel I have to get that stuff out right away. Like they send it to me, it needs to be done ASAP. There's a reason they send it to me, it needs to be up. But then that, if I have like 5 other things, I'm like, I really wanted to do these, they're going to get pushed to the wayside or potentially not done at all. And there'll be, super late videos. And I'm like, well, this thing's already been out for 2 weeks and 10 other people have got a video of it. Do I really need to do it as well? And 9 times out of 10, I won't, unless it's something that I'm just super excited about.
Yeah.
And then I'll still make a video anyway, just because I want to do it.
Is Super 7, they're definitely like the biggest ones in terms of like sending you stuff, right?
Them and Bandai Tamashii Nations.
Okay.
They send me a lot of stuff too.
Nice.
Those are the two
you do a
big
lot of the
ones, yeah.
Gundam stuff, right?
Gundam stuff. Like I've got a box of Gundams coming this week. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've got a book in the Super 7 stuff I'm working on with a box of Gundams, and I've got like 5 videos lined up to start.
Well, that's a good, I'm thinking about that, and that's a good sort of dual, kind of thing where they're far enough away from each other, I guess,
Right.
stylistically, and thematically, that like you're not overloading your audience because it's probably your Super 7
you've got different
audiences
audiences there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can definitely tell that, especially with like the Gundam stuff. It's a very different audience than people who want to see Ninja Turtles.
How about like your process, your gear, your editing, like how much thought and tech and energy do you put into the production of your videos?
Probably not enough. I would say I don't really do anything special. I mean, I've got a DSLR that I use to record video with, and I don't do anything and do much in terms of editing either. I mean, I edit a lot of stuff down because I always have tons of extra footage from where I decide that I've said something entirely the wrong way, that I didn't want to go about it, or forgot something, which happens a lot. But yeah, I mean, I just sort of slap it together, really.
It's funny because that's kind of where I've been up until recently, where
I've been trying to get out of that, but it's the time needed to learn what I want to do and figure out what I want to do and then learn how to implement it that I'm struggling to like slot in there. It's like I could film something else and have another video up in the same amount of time I tried to learn this one thing.
Right.
So it's trying to balance all of that and figure out there's obviously going to be a benefit to learning how to do more. What's going to have to kind of fall off for me to be able to do that.
Yep. Yeah. You're going to have to sacrifice some time.
Right. And it's going to have to be like review time because there's not a lot else I can really sacrifice. I don't think my boss is going to let me go, here, go edit a video instead of working. That's not going to happen. So,
yeah. I've done some of the same where I'm like, okay, I very much want to improve the quality of my videos, but also like improve the quality of the experience of recording and try to like, I don't know, like, so one of the examples for me is like, I have been using for years now, I charge up my lights. They're like battery operated lights. And I've never run all the plugs behind my table to like set it all up. And like one of the things, like, okay, I'm going to take some time to get the 6-foot cords and to set it up and like, it's that little thing is one of those things that took me a little time, but I had to do it in order to just simplify things. So speaking of, I guess, the review table, do you have multiple lights? Do you have like...
Yeah, I've got 2 big programmable LED panels, and then I've got an overhead light. It's not a very sophisticated setup, but I don't have much other lighting beyond that because I don't really do a lot of photography, really. So,
right.
Or what would require more lights for photography. So I don't have a lot of that stuff along with it.
Mm-hmm. But I do have to say your photos are excellent. Like your photos are always well lit. Your posing is great. Like you do have some awesome.
So yeah, I try to do what I can. I know where my talents start and stop with that. So I don't try to get too crazy with it. But I don't have really much in the way of diodes either. I've got a few little like platforms that I got from Carver Customs that were supposed to be used in a D12 case, and I never got around to actually using them. I just use them in thumbnails every now and again. But I've never gotten into dioramas, so it's just sort of the orange void, and that's where we are.
Speaking of the orange, what made you pick orange? Was there any logic to it, or was it just a...
Not really. Thing? Like, I mean, when I first started, I had like just a light box. It was white. I tried some other stuff, and it's didn't really work for me. And then I had in our previous house, I had my review set up in an unused extra bedroom that we eventually got around to setting up as an extra bedroom. So I had to get out of there. And I put my review stuff down in the basement in my actual toy room. And the walls were orange. So when I put them in there,
Okay.
originally for maybe the first week of whenever I did that, the background is actually the wall
Right.
and not a actual backdrop.
Yeah.
So I liked it at that point because I'm like, well, no one else is doing this. Certain people have signature colors out there. The Foosh is blue. Pixel Dan has like a white background. He used to do blue. Shartimus is white, that kind of stuff. Like no one else is going to have this. So
Yeah.
I just sort of ran with that. It wasn't much else beyond that, except that that's what the room was. Cause I wanted to have like a goofy color in the toy room. So I painted it orange.
How about like sound, audio, your microphone? Do you use anything, or is it right into the camera, or what?
I've got a Rode mic that I use. It's nothing fancy, but it's more, it's a step up from a garbage mic in the actual camera.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a dedicated mic for it. Yeah.
I guess my next question is like life balance and like efficiencies, and like how do you manage to fit this in? Do you have any shortcuts? Do you do anything special that like helps you, like do things in batches or what have you? Like how do you manage all of this and like keep your life going?
A lot of it is that I usually don't record until late at night. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that there's a 6-year-old running around the house. So it's not exactly quiet. I don't have a quiet space that she can be completely shut out of. You'd hear her doing something. So I don't want a screaming kid in the background, obviously, and the noise of a live house, for lack of a better phrase. So I usually don't record until after she goes to sleep. And then sometimes I'll try to do things like if I have a handful of things to do, if I can try to knock it all out at once. But I also don't record everything in like one go. Sometimes I'll just record, because I segment my videos out into certain things. If I can just stop and record this chunk about, here's the accessories or here's whatever it is. So I can do those in batches to just to sort of make it easier. If I know I don't have time to do the entire thing, but I can maybe knock out this one part and save me some time later, then I'll do it, when the house is quiet, just to kind of knock it out as best I can, as quickly as I can when I have the time. But that's about it. There's really nothing special to it outside of the fact that I just work around when people are awake in the house.
Would you say you put in like, so let's say, like for me, for a long time, I was just like, okay, I got something in. Let me just record this thing and start to finish. I'll record it. And then afterwards I'll edit it, and then a couple days later, it'll be another one. Is that close? Or do you do something more like, okay, every day I'm going to do an hour a day and then do a part of it for an hour a day. And then, or do you take little breaks and stuff?
I don't know that I necessarily plan it out like that. It really depends on what I have, like what I have to actually film. But if I have like, I had an active stack of stuff that I needed to do, if I can do it, I would be recording every day just to knock it out. But I mean, that doesn't always work either. There's always something that's going to get in the way, or I'm going to actually go outside and do something that has nothing to do with toys. So, so there's some days where I don't end up filming, and maybe I'll kind of make it up the next day because I'm not on a schedule with my videos. I used to try to do daily ones, and then I tried to cut it down to doing like 5 a week, and now there's nothing. It's like if I have something, it'll go up when it goes up, and that's about it.
Right.
I'm not reviewing more stuff than I want to review, and I'm not reviewing stuff just for the sake of reviewing it either. So it's stuff that I actually want to talk about it because I'm excited about it. So that kind of dictates what I'm going to talk about. I might get a handful of toys in, but don't really want to review them. So I'll take a couple of days off just because I don't have anything I really want to talk about.
What's something you collect that like a line or a style of figure that you collect that you don't review? Or is there
Mezco stuff usually?
Yeah.
It's Mezco almost exclusively when it comes to that, because it just takes so long. All the accessories, all the stuff they come with is just daunting to me. I just take it out. And I'm like, I do not want to run through, here's 18 different hands here. I don't want to run through that. And by the time I get them, there's really no need. Someone else has already done it.
Yeah.
So I tend to not do Mezco because I just don't feel I don't feel I have much of an audience for it. And I don't want to go through stuff that has tons and tons of accessories. Really bugs me when it comes to reviewing them. It just takes so long. And at that point it starts to get kind of tedious if you kind of run through it all. So there's some lines that have a lot of stuff that, I'm going to go through it. But like Mezco is probably the largest aggressor of tons of accessories, which is a good thing, but it's just difficult to get through them all. So I sort of stopped. I'll only do them kind of sparingly if it's something I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
Like Conan, I couldn't not talk about Conan.
Yep. Did you order the second one that's coming out soon?
Yeah, I got two of them, which I guess I got two because of the Barbarian pack.
Yeah.
I don't remember at this point.
You gonna review that?
I might have to. That stuff I'm really excited about. So like anything like that, I wanted to do Death Dealer and I just never got to it because it came I think it was waiting for me when I got back from Legion's Con, and of course I was like dead sick. So by the time I was like ready to film anything, it's like I'm just gonna move on. I'm not gonna go backwards now.
Yeah, similar thing with me. It came in and I wanted to review it, and there were like too many kind of like balls I was juggling at the same time, and then it just fell by the wayside. Maybe I'll go back to it, but like you said, it's a lot of work. I used to do a ton of Mezco primarily because they would get to me so fast.
Yeah, you'd always have them like days before I would get it. I would get my ship notice and you would be like, I got it like 20 minutes ago.
I used to get a real kick out of I wouldn't so for listeners, viewers, we're in a Discord group together and we often chat about figures, and a lot of people, it's a very Mezco centered group, and people, when something drops and it ships and it gets in hand, people will like stalk the internet to find people with pictures of it to like share like the in-hand shots. And I used to get a big kick out of when I would get something. I mean, it would ship out Thursday afternoon and it would be there less than 24 hours later. And then I'd come home from work Friday, and then I would just like put my nose to the grindstone and just bang out a review. And I wouldn't even comment or share that I have it or anything. And then I would just post the review. And I loved doing that because it was always,
you would always you were always really on the spot with those for a long time.
Yeah. And then I think they shifted over to, they shipped out from Washington State, and that whole thing.
Yeah, that's going to cause problems for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Being on the East Coast, I just wasn't getting them anymore. So there's that side of it where it's like I was always, I was no longer the first or even early on those reviews. And then again, like you said, as I got more and more Legions centric with the channel, I was less interested in doing those super complex, super involved, tons of accessories kind of reviews, because to do them justice, it's a lot of work. Like you can like,
and they end up being really long videos, so which means they take that much longer.
Yeah, to edit and everything. Yeah,
right. There's a lot more time involved if you add just a few more minutes to talk about the 19 hands and the 45 effects and all that stuff that they come with. But if you can have just as much fun doing a Legions video that has 6 accessories and there are no surprises with this figure because we all know how they all work, right. I would do exactly that and just not do the Mezco.
Yeah. You ever like say to yourself, you know what, I'm not going to do the articulation on this one just because
I have done that a few times just for certain things. I'm like, this is exactly what you think it is. We're going to move on. Like a Marvel Legends figure or something that's like a Bucky cat body. I'm like, there's no surprises here. It's a 10-year-old body. Let's get on with our lives. Or, doing like a Motu Origins video. Like these are all exactly the same.
We're not going to talk about the articulation on a Legions figure one time. And people were in the comments, why didn't you do the articulation? And I was like, oh God, I got to do it every time. And I learned my lesson. But what's your favorite line to review?
Probably going to be a toss-up between, on any given day, Ultimates, Super 7 Ultimates, and Legions. Like, I really like doing both of them. They're for different reasons. And the Super 7 stuff is usually very nostalgic for me. So, some remaking a toy that I had as a kid, or making a figure for a show that I've watched for 35 years, stuff like that. And then Legions, I get really hot and cold with Legions. Like they're always a thing for me. But like when we had that big drought of figures between like, Arethyr and whatever was after that, I can't remember at that point. Arethyr to Alithia, we didn't have a whole lot of stuff, a lot of new stuff anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of just like didn't care for a while. I'm like, I don't have anything to talk about. I don't really need to mess with these. But as soon as I started getting new figures, it's like, holy crap, there's such a big reason why I love this line. Like I'm so excited to have these again. So it's like I just like start tearing through them.
Yeah.
And those are really easy to review too, and I enjoy reviewing them because there's, like I said, there's no surprises with the Mythic Legions figure. They're all the same.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen.
There's rarely anything super fiddly with Legions. Right. It's never.
I don't have to worry about it. I'm like, yeah, this is going to move this way. This is going to move this way. We're going to move on, and we can talk about all the other cool stuff. And it's not just here's a weird problem with its articulation or here's a QC issue. Like I can get into just why you definitely want to buy this if you're interested in Legions. So.
How about
those are it. Worst line.
I mean, I guess maybe you already kind of mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of Mezco. Yeah, and it's not any fault of Mezco. It's just they're problematic to review for me. They just take too long. So I have to be really, really choosy with those. And I've only done maybe 5 or 6 Mezco reviews, and it's all been figures that I've really, really been looking forward to.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll spend the time on this. But even by the time I was done with like Conan, for example, I'm like, God, this is just so much stuff. And then like figuring out how to put stuff on him, put the chainmail skirt on him, and the little holster things and like all these little bits and bobs that have to be dealt with on this figure. Like it's a great figure, but it wasn't exactly the most fun video to do for me.
Yeah.
Just because it takes so long. Like just to talk about accessories takes longer than the rest of the video.
Who's your favorite reviewer? Or if you have a handful of reviewers to watch, like who do you enjoy just on a basic, you're a collector, just who do you like to watch?
It's probably going to be like all the folks that just about everybody else says, but I don't watch a lot of reviews. And I don't generally watch a review, which this will be kind of weird because of course I make reviews. I don't generally watch reviews for something that I haven't gotten yet.
Yeah.
I don't want my opinion to be influenced by somebody else's, which sounds weird coming from me, I guess. But like I will watch stuff afterwards usually to see what somebody else thought about it in comparison to mine. After I've had time to kind of understand it, or unless it's something that's like super super rare that I'm not ever going to get my hands on, or something that I don't want. That's a difference. But I mean, I watch your stuff, when Legions, like I watch, your pop and swap videos and stuff like that to get some ideas sometimes. I watch Jay and I watch The Amazing. But I don't watch a lot.
Hernandez.
Yeah. And I watch Pixel Dance stuff, but I don't watch a lot. If I'm watching YouTube stuff on the occasion I am, it's generally not toys.
And then how about like goals, future goals, goal setting, any kind of like future vision for your channel? I mean, you're one of the few channels that is almost 100% pure recorded reviews. Like you don't run live streams, right, on your channel? At least
I've done a couple, and like I find it very hard to find the time to do it consistently enough to try and make a thing out of it. Like I've had the interest for it, but I'm like, every other reviewer that I know does live streams. Like how many more is needed really? Right. And so many other people just to compete against, because we all everybody would be going basically around the same time.
Yeah.
So like the few times I've done it, I'm like, well, I'm competing with, I did one when Wade was doing one, or I did one when Toying Around was doing one. And I'm like, I know that I pulled viewers out of them when they would have normally, had higher numbers. So it's like, do I care enough to do that? And the answer ultimately came down to no, I don't care enough to do it. So there's like, there's a desire maybe on like random occasions, but even then it's like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't really have much interest in like trying to figure out topics for discussion either. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not sure that that's ever going to be a thing for me, but it's like, I could film, 2 reviews maybe in the time it takes to do one live stream and probably get more views out of them. So it's more beneficial for me that way.
Now, what about like other types of recorded videos? Like I remember a few in the past where you've done like, why are Mythic Legions so expensive? Or those I feel like those are kind of I do like videos like that often.
Yeah.
Like what about those types of videos? It's been a while since you've done those, right?
It's been a long while since I've done it's been a long while since I think I've done anything except a review. Maybe an interview
Yeah.
with somebody would have been the last thing that wasn't a review.
Right.
And it just comes down to, it's easier for me to just do a review. It's like, it's just easier for me to do a review. So,
Yeah.
Like there's been some times where
Time
I've even
spent.
like gone so far as to like record something that wasn't a review. And I find that I get to like sit down and edit that footage. I'm like, I don't want to have to deal with pulling in graphics and other video
Yeah.
and all this other stuff. I'm like, I just scrapped it. I did a video
Right.
on the Rancor is what it was when the HasLab was going.
Yeah.
And I never posted it because I'm like, I'm not adding anything to the conversation. I'm like, I just didn't want to deal with editing it down.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, coming up with the subject matter and then actually like executing on it is, I guess it doesn't
it's a
interest me as
process.
much as I want it to, I suppose. Like I want to do something different, but I find it hard to just actually try and do that stuff.
You need a much more intricate plan. Like, I mean, I guess you have an intricate plan for review, but it's the same plan every time. So you sort of memorize it and it's like this routine. Whereas like when you do a topic video, like for example, I did the, the test shots are coming out. Here's like some strategies and stuff. Like, man, that was a process. Or I did the Necronominus wave is shipping is not shipping is the pre-orders are ending soon. Here, let's talk about like strategy with that kind of pre-ordering versus going to retail and stuff. And, man, those videos, like I script them out and they're time consuming on the front end. The actual recording of it is not super time consuming if it's decently planned, but then the back end is, like you said, it's
right. All the editing
so
is
much.
what just, that process just sounds awful to me. So I don't do it. The only other thing I've thought about doing, just because it's sort of the thing now, is to do more like short form videos on the shorts aspect of YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Have you done
something?
Have you
I
done
was
any
thinking
of
about
those, or?
I've never done like an actual review. The only thing I've ever used it for, I posted something from Legion's Con on it. And that was it.
Like a quick tour video of some sort?
Yeah, so I don't remember exactly what it was. It might have just been Eric Miller's booth.
Right.
Like showing off the turtle figures that he made. It might have been that.
Yeah. Well, those can do really well. Those kinds of little quick,
and I was like, if I could do something that
type things
is in a little bit of a different environment, like I was thinking about maybe doing it in this room rather than in the toy room or in the review space. Mm-hmm. And just maybe stuff that I wasn't actually going to devote a full review to.
Right.
So to maybe talk about a couple more toys in a shorter amount of time that aren't going to get any, screen time anyway.
It's interesting. I've been doing them, and there's a lot of different angles you can take with shorts. Like there's a lot of different, like quickly like scanning a couple shelves for 20 seconds and then putting it to a song that's preloaded in the thing,
right.
Or doing an edited review, like an unbox. I think unboxings are good for shorts because it's like pull it out, show a couple pieces, talk briefly, 30 seconds. I recommend them. I think you should do them. They're a lot of fun, and like the short little bites. They don't take a lot of time or effort usually. Some of them do, but.
Right. I need to figure out how I want to approach them, but yeah, it's something that I've had, been kind of mulling that around just to change it up a little bit, to get a little bit more out there without doing as much, I suppose.
Yeah.
Not as much effort for those necessarily, and possibly, just as much, exposure, because that is the hot thing right now, or the thing that they're trying to push a lot of anyway.
Yeah. And people like them. I get a lot of messages of people saying, "Hey, I like that you're doing shorts now. I really, like it." So I think, as maybe sad for society as it is, people they like the short form content, right? Like they like the TikToks and all that stuff, but they can be a lot of fun. What do you got coming next? I guess by the time this comes out, this might already be an old question, but
yeah, who knows when this is coming out, right? I mean, I'm working on some Super 7 stuff right now. That's about it. Power Rangers.
You getting the Simpsons?
And the glow in the dark turtles. I don't have the Simpsons.
Are you getting them, or?
I don't know if they're going to send them to me or not. I guess not, since I don't have them already. Right. But I'm probably going to get them otherwise.
Yeah.
The handful of folks that have them seem to be really happy with them, except for the missing apron with Mo. But
just he straight up didn't come with an
apparently, I've not seen a single person report that it has it. It's as if it was missed or they took it out and didn't tell anyone.
Oh man.
So yeah, a lot of people are. unreasonably mad about it, but it's still annoying because it's like his signature thing. He should pretty much always have it on.
All right, Jared, thank you so much
Cool. Yeah, thanks for having me
being
on.
on the first episode of what I'm currently calling, maybe I'll find a better name, the ToyTubers.
We'll see what the actual title says when this comes out.
Right, and the thumbnail and all that. I gotta come up with some branding, I guess, for it. But yeah, so for those of you watching, if you ever want to subscribe to the podcast, this will be this particular show, and get a couple episodes in this first run of it. We'll see how it goes, and we'll continue them. But I'll definitely be putting them up on the podcast stream as like sub episodes, or like 205.5 or whatever. And then yeah, so we'll go from there and we'll see how the show does. And thanks again for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.